We need each other. And
Mm.
I cannot tell you how often that when I actually open up and have a conversation with somebody about like what's going on, that they're like, yeah, I got that going on too. Or, hey, I had that going on. And this is like how I navigated it. Like we need each other. Iron
Mhm.
sharpens iron as one man sharpens another. And I think with fatherhood, nothing could be more true.
Mm. All right, what is up, my friends? I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get through this without you just telling, like, I'm smiling ear to ear from this conversation, but here we go. Here's the intro. Welcome to Fatherhood Field Notes podcast, where I truly interview incredible fathers, gaining wisdom from their stories for both you and I to grow in our own craft of fatherhood. I'm your guide, Ned Shout, father to 5 kiddos, currently ages 13 to 20, and husband to my rad wife, Sarah, working on our 22nd year of marriage. So yes, I am in this with you in the thick of it, and I'm working daily to rebel against the low expectations set for fathers and create a world where fathers know who they are in their identity and show up for their families. You and I truly have the greatest opportunity to impact our world by stepping into our fatherhood role. And it is a big role, but we are here to serve, guide, steward, protect, and of course, find joy and have fun in the moments in between all these big things that you and I are pursuing. Today's guest is my friend, William Brinker. This was a conversation that I specifically needed. I am beyond inspired hearing about this generational family. My friends, something is brewing here, and I hope that you catch the vision for your own family. Enjoy meeting my friend, William. All right, my friend, William, welcome to Fatherhood Field Notes podcast. How you feeling today?
Overall, great. A little sleep deprived, but I'm going to say par for the course.
Yes, I feel that. First question for you. How old do you find yourself today?
Like my actual biological age is almost 42. Some
Okay.
days I feel like I'm 20 and some days I feel like I'm 80.
80. What makes you feel like 80?
Oh man, I don't stretch enough and I know that
Mm.
I should. And I don't. And one day I will identify with somebody that likes to stretch. But I'm finding myself very inflexible and
Mm.
I've injured myself twice over the last, I don't know, 6 to 10 weeks. And it's got me out of my routine, my workout routine, because things are popping.
Yeah.
So that's the
Bro,
8. The 10 is
that's
I
the
still
80.
feel like I can do the things I was doing when I was 15. Uh,
Yes.
uh, and I'm actually somewhere there in the middle.
Love it, dude. Last night, so yesterday was deadlift day. So I did my deadlifts and then I kind of rushed my stretching after. Like I didn't do the full 10 minutes. I probably did 4. And then last night, my son and I are working on his dirt bike and I'm sitting on a bucket and we're like trying to we spent like an hour trying to get this broken bolt out of this thing for his kickstand. And I'm twisting it with my hand and my lower back on my right side, just like, oh, bro, twisted. And I'm like, bro, I got to stretch more. I'm 42 and I can't ditch the stretching. So,
You were
um,
just creating a wrench,
I was
right?
turning a screwdriver in
Wow,
a bolt and, or like, in this,
it's
metal
frustrating.
piece that we had. And I'm like, dude, come on, bro. Really? So anyways, I feel you, dude. How many years have you been married?
I've been married. I will be married for 16 years this September,
Okay.
and I've been with my wife for 22 years this September.
22. So like straight out of high school or what?
I met her. She's 2 years younger than me. Her name's Erica.
Okay.
She's 2 years younger than me. I met her freshman year of college. I was a
Okay.
junior, and literally the first week of school, she walked down the stairs. I was like, I'm gonna talk to
Mm,
that girl. Just the way that she says it is she was like, I'm gonna talk to that guy. Long story short, and this is actually still fun. Whenever I got her phone number, you had a flip phone. It was a
mhm.
Nextel. Nextels were cool back in the day, the walkie-talkie function. And I put her on my phone as Hot Erica. I had no idea what it was. I'm like, remember this one. And
Uh,
still on my phone today as Hot Erica.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I got her number. We've never stopped talking.
That's so good, dude. So 16 years, what would you tell the guy who's like coming up to his 10 year? anniversary. And like, I mean, dude, you got kids, you got business, you got family. It's a lot of freaking work, to say the least. So to encourage that guy who's coming up on 10 years, in the wrestle of having little kids, what would be some encouragement you'd give him?
Um, I it's 100%. It's not just 10 years. I'll say it's every day. It's
Mm-hmm.
just remembering that you chose to marry someone. And you
Mm,
chose to marry that person in all likelihood for a lot of really solid reasons. And sometimes we forget that. And so
mhm,
really intentionally thinking about loving your wife every single day. And that is a principle that I've learned over the last couple of years as part of Rise Up Kings is like,
mhm,
what can I do to pour into my wife every single day? Um, and that's what I would say is like, man, like if you're coming up on that 10-year, like go back, rewind. For me, in the story that I just opened up with, right? It was like my wife coming down the stairs. I can still remember exactly what
mhm.
she was wearing and what made me draw to her. And our very first conversation, like real date that happened a few days later. Um, like it was it was amazing.
Yeah.
She's amazing and she needs to know that always.
It's really good advice. Funny is, so my wedding ring on the inside, it says, what is this? I can't take it off, but something, the girl in the pink dress. So I remember, I was playing drums at church. Sarah walks in the back door on Mother's Day. I was 18, and this girl in the pink dress shows up. So it's like, I'm like, okay, I remember what she was wearing. I remember her walking in. So very similar stories there. But I think the advice there is like, clearly you're going to live with somebody for 15, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years, whatever. You're going to see the you're going to see the whole person, right? You're going to see everything. And I think it can be easy to like dwell on the things that you wish were different, the things that would make your life easier. So it's like I even have in my phone in my notes like the things I love about Sarah. Um is almost this reminder that I'm making sure that I'm not mentally going to the man, life would be easier if whatever, because then it's like, then I'm looking for those things and my mind is, creating more truth around those things when I could do the very same thing with all of I mean, more, right? The positive, the mother of my children, the been with me for 20 years. There's so many things that are positive and I mean, better to dwell on for sure. So I think that's really powerful, of
Yeah,
helpful.
mindset. I mean, I'm big on
Yeah.
and just assuming positive intent, believing good thoughts. If
Mhm.
I catch myself going somewhere that's not healthy,
Yeah.
resetting, like quick and
Yes.
trying to quickly reset. It's like, nah, my wife didn't say that to upset me. But she actually doesn't.
Right.
I mean, she loves me, just like
Yes.
her. And kids, man, catching those triggers. Yeah, breathing. Like
Mhm.
and that's yeah. Don't like I mm, man, I wonder whenever I figured out how to start controlling emotional hijacks. Um
But
and at least for the last like several years, lots of years,
mhm, mhm.
I can recognize it and pause and get clear. I'll say 95% of the time. Every now and
Yeah,
again, I will react,
of
and you,
course.
and man, and I'll say it's when I react and don't respond that, like, it
Mhm.
catches me the most because it's like, "Oh, man, who was that guy that just"
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, that's not who I want to be anymore, not who I am anymore.
Yeah. And dude, I mean, I think like as believers, one of the things that I find interesting is in Galatians it talks about the fruits of the spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness. And anyways, the last one is self-control. So like, you just made this great comment. It's like I learned to not be or I learned to control the emotional hijacking. And I think sometimes we act as if that's out of our control. But if you're looking at fruits of the spirit, I'm a healthy tree growing, and the fruit from that is that I should be able to control not those around me, but like I can control my thoughts. Like I literally can control them, right? It takes practice and it takes effort and it takes, learning how to breathe, learning how to pause, learning how to self-reflect. Um, but like you said, it's almost like, and I know that's one of the things Rise Up Kings talks about is like we're all gonna drift, but it's like how long am I drifting for? can I shorten that window where I'm derailing emotionally?
Yeah. And I know we're talking fatherhood. I'd say that I am not as well practiced with the kids
Mm,
as I am with my wife, right? I'll say we've lived long,
interesting.
right? So like I've practiced the skill in that relationship, and I'm probably even better. As crazy as this sounds, in business, like operate
Oh,
lots of business, lots of
yeah.
employees, different sectors, and it's like, man, I very rarely can get hijacked in a business setting, right?
Mm,
Like where I just
yeah.
react and don't like
Right.
thoughtfully respond because it's like, hey, I have to show up this way.
Right.
Um, and it is actually, I'll say my kids, I think it's because oftentimes I'll set these expectations,
Mm,
um, and I will react to them way quicker and get
hmm
hijacked way quicker than probably with anyone else on this planet.
Interesting.
And I recognize that, and I need help and encouragement.
That's good, dude. So, okay, so how many kids do you have and what are their ages? What's that span right now?
Yeah, I've got 3 kids. William, who we call Little Will, we've talked about
Mhm.
that in the past. He's
Yeah.
like Little Will, even though he is rapidly becoming larger than I am. He is 14. I got a beautiful daughter, Henley Rose. She's 12. And my little guy, Abel, is 10. So 14, 12, and 10, boy, girl, boy, all super healthy, smart, wonderful kids.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure you're dealing with this too. So, like, business owner, we'll talk about that in a moment. But it's like, on one hand, I want to teach my kids how to have autonomy, make decisions, think critically, be a leader. Right. And then on the other hand, you're my kid and I kind of want my house to operate in a certain way. But now you're thinking for yourself and you're like realizing you're not five, you just do what dad says. And so it's like this double edged sword where you want them to like start to become not independent, but not dependent on me like a little child. And then the tension of like, hey, you're thinking your own thoughts also is frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Oh, it is, yeah, 100%.
Mhm. Mhm.
As I mentioned too, again, little Will, who's not so little, has always been a little bit just taller
Mhm.
and a kid than yeah, and looks older, more mature than he is.
Mhm.
And that's another thing where, yeah, I just have to recognize like, hey, he is actually only 14. Or heck, when he was 10 and looked like he was 14,
Yeah.
only 10.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, we even had a teacher this year recognize that. Like a bunch of kids were like, you know, taking candy out of like the reward basket, you know?
Mhm.
Oh, and I say a bunch of kids, all kids in the same age group at
Mhm.
8th grade earlier this year. And she was really upset by William doing it. And then she
Mhm.
actually realized, she was like, I realized that I was upset just because I always think he's older. I expect more just out of
Mhm.
him by his appearance. Because you put him next to a couple of his buddies, and I mean, he looks significantly older. Like,
Mhm.
um, and so that's definitely shown up in our household, where it's like this expectation of something that, like, I don't want to say should be lowered,
Yeah,
but we
it's tough.
need to like calibrate.
Mhm. Yeah, it's interesting because it's like we don't, I'll hear my kids sometimes basically that my expectations are like higher than other parents' expectations are. And that can ruffle their feathers a bit. A- And I'm like, yes. And in 10 years, you're going to be thanking me for it. I mean, for the most part, like, I don't think it's wildly realistic, but yeah, if we want to love, lead, serve, and live to our calling of being leaders in our world, we cannot do the same crap everyone else does to the same way. And I've lost some battles there for sure, but it's like that it's tough with kids to set expectations and pursue excellence while extending grace that they are 14 or 15 or 16.
Mhm, yeah,
Mhm.
but I think you're definitely spot on, as far as like, you know, that's the world that we live in now, in my opinion. And then maybe this has been from all of time. I mean, I'm still like rolling up my sleeves and trying to get as deep as I can into the word and understanding like
Mm,
all history. Um, but I believe it's just kind of a lot of times it's repeating itself.
mhm.
um, is the family unit, and
Oof.
I'll say the broken family unit. And
Mhm.
yeah. So like to hear you say that, well, like, well, other families aren't doing this, or like you expect more than us in other families. Well, like, yeah, that's actually like I think a really good thing, because it's where it starts. Is like, man, focusing on the family, I think would solve a lot of the societal problems that we're having.
A thousand percent. 1,000%. The family unit is so important, and I want to get into this family unit. Let's come back to this in a minute. I just to give some context, because I think this will help with the family unit component too. Uh, I love and hate the question of like, what do you do for a living? Because I think men use it to size each other up, but I ask the question for more of a level playing field kind of thing. So, with that being said, you're an entrepreneur. Give us like the couple minute overview of like what it is you do and how you kind of got there.
Um, Man, maybe I'll start with how I got there and give you a little bit of background.
Yeah.
It also, like I'll say, ties to the family unit. I am one of 6 kids from the same mom and dad who are
Mhm.
still together. We're not Mormon or Catholic. We grew up in the Methodist church. We always joke around with that. Say, hey, we'd say hello to you at the liquor store. I don't drink very much. My mom will argue that she started drinking because of me. Um,
That's funny.
yeah, I'm number 4 in the birth order. 5 of us are, I'm sorry, the first 4 of us are really close. We're within like 5 or 6 years. I've got a 47-year-old brother. I'm 42. We got 2 sisters in between. Then
Mm,
I've got a sister that's about 5 years younger than me, and then I've got a little brother that's 15 years younger than me. And so there's actually a 20-year gap. 3
nice.
boys, 3 girls, um, all living in, the same house, shared rooms growing up. And as a kid, man, I wanted things. I
Mm,
wanted the things that all my buddies had. Like, we lived in a pretty good area.
mhm,
Not in the nicest neighborhood in the area, but we were in a good area. We went to public schools. Had a, had really had a super blessed upbringing. I got free lunch. Like, there were lots of things that, like, as a kid, I was shameful of, right? Like,
mhm,
my kids could buy, or a lot of my friends could buy whatever they wanted, and they got the newest Jordans, and they had, their parents were buying them cars when they were 16, and so like, man, I wanted things that my family couldn't afford to just give me, and yeah, but like we had to ask permission to go into the refrigerator. There were 2
mm,
things we could eat in my house or consume without asking, and it was apples and milk. Um, Everything else was like rationed. We had sandwiches, and it was 2 pieces of white bread, 1 slice of Kraft single cheese, and 1 piece of meat. Like, that was it. Um, and it was fine, right? That's just, that's just how
yeah,
it was.
it's what you knew. Yeah.
We got a roof over our head, and we got clothes, and maybe my clothes were coming from I'll say a big box store, or were hand me downs, and I got the hand me down baseball bat, the hand me down gloves. I'd wear my
Mm,
brother's old cleats. And so, yeah, from a young age, I realized that if I wanted things, I had to work for them. And
mm,
so, started hustling and cutting grasses and putting out pine straw. And, I mean, even when I was like 5 years old, I started selling my dad's like salesman samples. He was a countertop salesman, and they got these like little carts, and like I'd sit at the end of the driveway and like price them based on like, this one's metal. It was 50 cents, and the one looked like wood was a quarter. I mean, I was doing anything I could do to make a buck. um, and so that I could buy things. And, that really did help instill a super solid work ethic in me.
mhm,
Uh, and my grandfather was a farmer, and we'd work on the farm in the summers, and he'd pay us a little bit, but it was hard work. We'd shovel it,
mhm,
just doing stuff. And so I just went down that entrepreneurial path. And my dad ended up going out on his own in 1991 and went from being a countertop salesman to getting into the landfill gas to energy space. And I'll give you like I got to give you the cliff notes because it's kind of a long story. That my dad got into that space, and I ended up going to college. between 91 and college, which was 2002 is when I went to college. Yeah. Um, I ran like little construction crews and
Hmm.
we like supported my dad's business. And I'm, from the time I was really 14 years old, 15 years old, had my first friend that got a driver's license and he could take me to work. Like we were working. And then as I'm in college and I'm still working throughout college, all the spring breaks and summers and going around to all these landfills, like I'm seeing like I'm connecting dots, right? Like I'm learning textbook knowledge, but I'm able to apply it in real world situations. And so whenever I came out of college, I started a construction company, collaborated with my dad's development company, and then I'll say have just made a series of mistakes that have led into other businesses. So
Hmm.
the primary business that I'm in, and that's a loose term, primary, is landfill gas to energy. We have a company called the Landfill Group, and the Landfill Group's got four core companies: Enerdyne Power Systems, which is the original company my dad formed. And so we do development and management of landfill gas to energy assets. So at high level, as trash decomposes in a landfill, it generates gas. The primary constituent is methane, just like what's in natural gas. So we can use landfill gas for anything that you can use natural gas for.
Hmm.
Uh, Vehicle fuel, create electricity, send it directly to an end user. There's a lot of different ways to utilize this energy source. You're always going to have trash. You're always going to need power. It's an environmental benefit because we're reducing a greenhouse gas emission. That's the industry in a nutshell. Enerdyne again does development, does management. Our construction company that I formed when I came out of college is called Advance One. So we put all these things together, kind of the general contractor.
Hmm.
First time I almost went bankrupt was in 2008 as the general contractor bidding on a
Hmm.
component. That ended up being a new business was at the time. It's now, obviously been incorporated since 2012, but really since 2008, we've been making custom biogas treating equipment. So we actually fabricate all the components, all the skids and vessels and tanks and everything that goes inside these plants. Kind of looks like something you might see on a Landman, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
um, and so we make all this custom biogas treating equipment, and we have an engineering company. So that's called Advanced Biogas Systems, and then we have an engineering company called Jade Biogas Engineering. Those four core companies form up the landfill group, and then every single project that we develop is actually its own company. So we put the plants together, and then we sell gas to the local utility or sell power to the local utility, and then we provide all the back office support to keep maintaining that facility. So
Hmm.
operations, hire the technicians, environmental health, safety, compliance, accounting, so on and so forth. And collectively, that box is the landfill group.
Wow.
So and
So,
then I'm in
oh,
the
go ahead.
outdoor space. I don't know if we want to pause for that one later, but that's like a
No, no,
hospitality.
no. Yeah, yeah. Give the 30-second on that, and then I want to ask you some questions.
Sure. The 30-second one on that is, man, I love to hunt and fish and be in the outdoors. And it actually started with a restaurant, which was like a conversation with a neighbor that kind of had a restaurant that was going downhill. We found ourselves in the restaurant business, rebranded a place in our town, Blowing Rock, North Carolina, called the Speckled Trout Cafe and Oyster Bar to the Speckled Trout Restaurant and Bottle Shop. And for the most part, my wife and my oldest brother's wife, Emily, they kind
Hmm.
of manage the restaurant.
Nice.
Brother and I, we like to call ourselves indentured servants. We do whatever they want.
Yep.
Uh, and then from that brand, we grew the Speckled Trout Outfitters. So we've got two retail locations where we sell, rods and reels and knives and apparel and pats and then we do guided trips out of there. So locally, we take people on drift boats or on wade trips. And we have a destination travel program where we take people all over the world: Mexico, Argentina, Cuba. Cuba's on pause, I guess, technically right now for just a little bit. Hopefully, amazing fishery.
Hmm.
Uh, but we travel all the world, hunting and fishing and taking people places. And then we have a little boutique hotel called the Speckled Trout Outpost, which is in Damascus, Virginia, where we can host and lead trips out of. But people can also just stay if they're hiking the Appalachian Trail or doing the Virginia Creeper Trail, a biking trail that's in the area. So that's the super super fun business. I really like the landfill gas business. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
um, but like playing in trash or playing in nature,
Yeah.
nature's a lot cooler.
For sure, for sure. But I mean, with what you're doing, I mean, it's creating sustainability, right? You're taking our garbage and doing something with it that can help, continue to make our world a good, um, healthy overall place. Question for you, and I'm sure we could get totally in the weeds and do a whole podcast on this. So I'm going to go kind of high level on it. Your six siblings, how many are involved in just a business of yours? Or no, not of yours, but like how many siblings are involved in the same business as you and your family?
So just one. So my brother and I do the speckled trout things together, along with our wonderful wives.
Okay.
So we're the four pack that does that group of businesses, and then we all have our own independent businesses, which is also a unique thing. All of my siblings are entrepreneurs.
Hmm.
W- My little brother, though, actually works with my next oldest sister.
Okay.
Um, but everybody else just does their own thing, and that's another unique thing, which is also a blessing. Is like, even though it was chaotic growing up, and of
Hmm.
course we fought and strangled, and my parents would be like, so they like this was a literal, like they'd be like, take it outside,
Hmm.
figure it out, and then come back to the dinner table. And we all do life together. Like
Hmm.
they travel with me on these destination trips, and they all come back to the family farm, and like we do Thanksgiving and Easter and every holiday, and people spend their birthdays. I mean, it's like uh, we are still just one big family that's gotten even bigger because we've all started having babies and have multiplied.
And does everybody live within 50 miles of each other?
Not within 50. Everybody is still in North Carolina.
Okay.
Uh, my two closest neighbors are my next oldest sister to me. Her name's Mary Allison, and my brother, who's my partner. Like we all can drive four wheelers and walk or whatever to each other's houses. Uh, so I got two siblings, and my parents are right here in the same valley.
Okay. Is that
Um,
where the family farm is as well?
it is, yep.
Does your
So
parents live on the family farm?
the answer, it's like I'm gonna say the short answer is yes. We've actually protected the family farm, so the family
Hmm.
farm will always be the family farm,
Hmm.
and everybody can use it just the way that we did as kids. Was like, again, we didn't go to the beach because we didn't have money to go to the beach. We went to the farm,
Yeah.
and and that was ultimately my grandparents' wish. So we've put that farm into a conservation trust,
Got it.
and we own it into perpetuity, but it can never be
Hmm.
developed or built on it.
Yeah.
But we've been super blessed to acquire land that all adjoins it, and it all adjoins a national park. So like
Sounds
we're
terrible.
super.
All right, my friends, you've been hearing me talk about the Genesis program through Rise of Kings, and I am incredibly excited to invite you to it as well as be a part of it. Rise of Kings has helped thousands of men over the last 5 years discover the reality of their identity. And now they have launched the Genesis program, which is for young men ages 13 to 17. And here's the idea. You as a father would take your son to this 2-day event to start to initiate a conversation and an awareness around what it means to be a man. But the conversation would really be between you and your son. And then after the 2-day event, once we expose your sons to the 4 pillars, to what it means to be a man, then we work with you and your son. I'm actually the coach for the mastermind program. You got Mondo Davis, who does the 2-day event. Incredible man, 11 children. He's currently working with his 16-year-old son. I'm working with my 16-year-old son. So you guys, this is fresh. This is real. This matters. So we want to invite you to the 2-day event with you and your son. Then after that, I'll be the coach for the 6-month mastermind where I'm working with you every 2 weeks. And then I'm working with your sons every 2 weeks with the idea that we're helping you to really step into what does it look like to help transition your son from a boy into a man. This is something you won't want to miss. It is worth the time, the resources to really help your son see who he is young and early so that he can love, lead, serve a family and the kingdom moving forward at a young age. Please go to riseofkings.com/FFN to register you and your son. Would love to see you in the program. So this is becoming like the selfish Ned podcast at the moment. And so I'm going to try to derail from that because
Okay.
like and here's why you're when you're talking, I'm like having this deep down core hope or dream that my son Brody is like sharing your story right now. And 40 years, or that his son, my grandson's sharing this story, right? So it's like, I got 5 kids. I'm reading books right now on family legacy and on like 100-year, 1,000-year families. It's like my whole world of what I'm excited about at the moment. And so when I hear you talk about, we all live close, we have this family farm, there's like homeland, there's connection, there's family business happening between each other. It's like, I don't know that that was in your dad's mind when he's like, here's your ham sandwich and glass of milk, but there was something that created this depth of connection in your family unit. I think some of it is like potentially like a larger family, right? But if you were to say, right, you're going to, the 3 things, the nuggets of what has led to the family being close, keeping the farm, getting along, obviously getting along, I'm sure is like a loose getting along.
We really get along really well. Even
That's
though
awesome.
we got some like right wing and left wing, right? Like
Oh,
it's,
interesting.
it's not like we're all in the same political scenes. Like
Mm.
it's pretty
What about
wild.
faith? Do you think that faith has stayed true for everybody without getting into like people's personal life? Has faith held you guys together at some level?
I mean, 100%. I
Okay.
mean, grew up in a church environment.
But
Uh,
but one that allowed you to drink, so that can help keep everyone together.
yeah, that's right. I mean, how I like, for the most part, choose not to. My wife and I is like, because it's part of it's part of all the speckled trout businesses. There's actually 3 bars.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. Yeah.
and we're like, man, and she was game for it. But I'm like, hey, let's just try to not. We can't exceed 40 days of drinking this whole year. We can
That's
keep
like,
the
see,
days.
that's a great, yeah. I think that's great. In moderation is great. Like, it's like, I don't want to say I'm never having a glass of wine again or trying a beautiful whiskey with somebody. It's like, but I don't need to on a Tuesday because it's 4 o'clock and I had a rough day at work. Like for me, that, no thanks. Okay, so let's just go back. 3 things that you would say have kept the family to where they're together now. I mean, the things I'm hearing while you're thinking: faith. I'm hearing that your mom and dad figured it out, right? To make that statement, they're still married, 6 kids. Like, that is hard to do. Is there anything else that comes to mind? Because I want to give men right now a vision for what's possible. Not just get my kid to 18, but what does it look like when my kid's 42? When I'm 80, what's possible? So anything else come to mind for you?
Hmm. So I'd say back to, I mentioned like, hey, like I mean, we fought as siblings, right? Siblings,
Okay.
I mean, it's not like it was uh, cupcakes and roses growing up, man. I mean, I can remember, I vividly remember my brother hanging me up from a doorknob on my underwear and opening and closing, right? Like, I mean, harassment, right? Like, and not
Yeah.
a business partner, right? uh,
So what'd your dad do in those moments? So in those moments, I mean, I know you said my parents said just go outside and figure it out. Was there anything? Because I can find myself sometimes, and I'm getting better, but inserting myself too much to create peace when sometimes they just literally need to sit in the
work,
tension.
yeah, you just need to work it out. I was gonna say my
Okay.
parents, for the
Yeah.
most part, let us work it out. If something got really bad, my parents would come in and discipline us.
Mm,
And I also mean this in like a super endearing way because my wife and I have talked about this as it relates to physical discipline. My parents were spankers, right? So like, I got spanked. I would the true like pick your own switch, and if I don't like it, you're not gonna like the one that I pick.
right.
Like that really is like that was our reality. Uh,
Hmm.
and until I got to be 14, and another funny story, my mom actually spanked me when I was like 32. Uh, the uh, you know, I mean, it was just real. Like, and I'll say there
Yeah.
was a true like healthy level of fear,
Hmm.
around just doing the right thing and working things out, and it not getting to you know, like there was fear and respect to my parents, uh,
Mm,
in a healthy way. Like I've deconstructed this a bunch of times because people are like, "Well, do you think that had trauma?" I'm like, "No, I don't." Like none of my memories are anything other than jovial as it relates to those situations, and like I needed it. I really do feel like I needed it. Like if I hadn't, who
Mhm.
knows what kind of trouble I would have really gotten in. We lived in a bigger, metropolitan area. Like there were lots of people doing lots of things that like I could have gotten involved in, but didn't because like I feared my parents, and
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
and again, I want to keep saying that in a healthy way. Like I have no memory of like bad memory of being beaten and it not being like
Right. So,
deserved.
yeah, okay, so we're hearing faith, parents together,
Just
dad grinding, discipline, discipline. Your dad willing to take a risk. I mean, that's a risk to go start his own thing, right? Start his own thing. There's a risk there. Um, you kids were invited in to be a part of it. It sounds like at 14, 15, you're getting to be a part of this.
we all help. Yeah, no, I'll say it. So at some point, you asked if anybody actively was working with the business. I think is how you phrased it.
Mhm.
At some point, we all helped. I mean, there were definitely like deadlines and stuff as my dad was doing his business in the field, and it was like, "Hey guys, we're all going to the job site this weekend, and everybody's got a paintbrush, right? Just
Yeah, and was it, "Hey, everybody gets a dollar for doing it," or was it like, "Hey, you get to live here, so you're helping?"
yeah, you get to live here, so you're helping."
Yeah, man, I
No
could be
sir,
better at that.
your allowance. It was like we were expected
Yeah.
to mow the lawn and do the dishes and or whatever was assigned to us.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
it's because we had food on the table and a roof over our heads and clothes on our
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, man, I sometimes use money too much as a motivator for my kids. Um, okay, so now let's just because I'm sure you and your wife have wrestled through this. I mean, we've this really were your grandparents were your whose parents had the farm, your dad or your mom?
My mom.
Okay, are they around, not around?
They're both deceased now. Yeah.
Okay, and then were they Christians as well?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So check this out. We've got this really rad like family farm from people they stayed together, then your mom, then your parents stayed together, and now you've got you guys. So there's really we're kind of like your kids are this fourth generation coming in a sense. Fifth?
Fifth. Yeah, because it was my great grandfather bought the farm.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Okay. So we're on this fifth generation. So now you obviously have stepped into a different level of wealth, finances, ability, freedom. How are you wrestling right now with having a 10 to 14-year-old and like I because here's the thing. I think Americans, we love the idea of like the struggle, but it can trap us if it can trap us into just doing like the same crap every generation. So how are you thinking through preparing your kids to be able to step into opportunities that that I mean you had more opportunities than your parents had more opportunities than grandparents. How are you going to work with your kids to prepare them for the freedoms and abilities that they'll have at 20, 25, 30? Are you thinking about this right now?
We are. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of it comes through conversations. And I mean, probably the
Mhm.
most vivid one that I have that's like recent was this April. And I had one of the most epic turkey hunts with
Fun.
my 10-year-old on
Mm,
the family farm, right? And
mm.
again,
Wow.
unless we're gonna be able to go into lots of overtime, I can't give you the stories, the full story. It was just an amazing turkey hunt.
Uh,
Successful. We doubled down together. He got a bird, I got a bird.
nice.
And we're sitting there. It's a beautiful morning. We're on the side of the mountain, and we were talking about it, right? It was like, hey man, you
Mhm.
realize that like this farm has been protected. It's always gonna be this farm. You're gonna get to do this one day with your kids and your grandkids, And
Mhm.
it's like, and like we just leaned into that conversation. I mean, and it was just like, you know, I say I got my arm around him, he's snuggled into me, like, and
Yeah.
we're laughing about what we just did, and we're talking about the legacy and the value, and that's where it's coming up in conversation,
Yep.
and we're
Yep.
doing tactical things like we teach our kids about finances. Like they have a brokerage
Mhm.
account, time value of money, and like, hey, like we
Mhm.
don't take money out of here. Like it's, they put deposits in. One day they really feel like they need to. After they're 21, they can take deposits out.
Mhm.
And I'm not the one. Sometimes I'll say I'll make a matching deposit, right? And we talk about
Yep.
that. Like you could have this,
Yep.
it can go in there, you know.
Yep.
And they don't make that much money, but it's just like dollar for dollar, right? Like you
Yep.
put a dollar in, I'll put a dollar in.
Yep.
Uh, $2 in like 40 years is a lot of dollars.
Without a doubt. But, William, I think, okay, question for you. How important do you think the land is in this conversation? And here's what I mean is could all of this be as true without the land? I think sometimes because it's like I might not live in the same house. I might not, and that's what's hard is you guys have lived in the same place. Like you have a homeland, which is awesome. I don't have that right now. We went from Northern California to Hawaii and now we're trying to move somewhere else. But when I think about if I'm sitting with my son in a badass living room with nice stuff, and I'm like, someday you're going to be sitting in this living room with your kids, like that just really feels like a totally different conversation than I hunted this land with my dad. You're going to hunt this land with your dad or with your kid. Uh, like, whew, bro, it just feels like a totally different level. Like, is what you guys have, would it be possible without the land component?
I want to believe that that answer is yes. I can't change my circumstance. That's one of the common things that like
Right.
we stewarded,
Right.
and it's like so core to our identity.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's just one of those things too. I mean, my great grandfather, he went out on a limb. He bought a farm that he couldn't afford. That my grandfather paid off, right?
Yep.
That was ultimately left to my mom and not her brothers, which created a family feud,
Ooh.
right?
Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
but and then they did it for I'll say a reason. They didn't want the
Of
land to be
course.
divided, right? And they
Mm,
knew that where my mom's heart was, and to keep it together, and they wanted the land to always be that way.
yeah.
And that unique thing about just the upbringing is when all that happened, and there was the feud, and my grandfather passed, and then my grandma did this, and like all those crazy family dynamics still went on
Yeah.
in our family. And then
Mm-hmm.
my 6 siblings got together and said, "Hey, like we're not gonna do this," right? So it was actually
Mm,
5 other siblings and my parents that said, "We're gonna donate the rights of this land to a conservation trust." It takes greed out of the equation.
mm,
Like, it's now devalued. Like, this is a prime development piece of property that can never be developed, right? So money is now not even a thing. It's just land, right?
yeah.
When I say it's just land, it's like one of the most special places on earth to me.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, I almost want to pause you for a second because when I said like, could you be what you are without the land? It definitely wasn't like, could you be who you are without your, your Porsche or with your whatever. But I think there's something to be said about the story, right? Like families are connected through story, and this land gives like a context to this story, right? Like I bet you have hundreds of stories of being on this farm, and there's stories like if you and your brother are sitting together or you and your dad or mom or whatever, there's a connection that no one else on the world will understand because you've experienced story together in this place. And I'm almost saying it as a hey guys, like maybe we should think about having a bit of a homeland, like having a place that is more than just a better neighborhood, And what I like is it's not that you live there, but it's a place you go to and experience life. So I don't know, I'm really inspired by the concept of it.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, I'm like super into reading the Old Testament. I'm doing Bible in a year, right? So I'm in the Old
Oh,
Testament. It's
sick.
all this
Yeah.
fight,
Uh-huh.
corruption. And this is what people are fighting over, right? They're fighting. So you have siblings fighting over territory and land.
Hmm.
And like, this is that situation. But in this particular case, my family took the fight out of the equation to be a family,
Yeah.
and that's actually maybe in tying a piece together from the story, my story with like the business and growing up and not having, working really hard and doing these businesses and yeah, doing the grind, man. Like, I can tell you in, the Rise Up Kings, we got our 4 pillars. faith, family, fitness, and finance.
Mhm.
I had that all backwards. I was
Mm.
finance and focused on my business. I was so driven to be able to make money, so that I could buy things.
Mm.
Um, and like truly the weakest, well, it probably went. Actually, I think it might have gone in almost reverse order. I was probably finance, family, fitness, faith,
Mhm.
versus the other way. And in 2019, I did a leadership experience. And the result of that was a lot of inner work. And that's when I realized that I had always had what I've always wanted. Like that is what
Mm.
I pulled from a multi-day immersion. And it really boiled down to, man, like I have a super blessed family and we all get
Mhm.
along. I've got really core relationships. Like one of my best friends was up here yesterday in a tournament with me. I've known him since he was 10 years old. Ran into my true lifelong best friend's dad, who I've known since like we got baptized together
Mm.
at the same place. Like the the people, the relationships, the memories, the good times, like all of my upbringing, it did not cost money. We didn't have money. So it wasn't a thing, right? Like it was out and being and doing. Um, and man, I wanted stuff, and that's
Mhm.
by being able to make money and had stuff. And I'll say, don't get me wrong, I like stuff. But it is not what it's about anymore. Like it literally, I had this switch that went off, and it was like, hmm, like I don't need on this world. I don't need anything. I've got it.
Mm.
Um, and it's kind of getting this back to this fatherhood. It goes back to the family unit,
Yeah.
with my
Yeah.
parents, my siblings, and my wife and my kids. And it's like, and then the relationships and the people that we surround ourselves with, like they're so solid. And now like my relationship and getting things in order, my relationship with the Lord and focusing on
Mm.
that first thing every day and throughout the day is like, man, everything else is like extra now. Man, that's like cool if we can go do this other thing, but
Mhm.
I got what I need. I got what I want. I've always had what I've always wanted.
I love it. Yeah, and to be able to wake up and know that, but then continue to build and grow for the sake of the kingdom, right? Because the things that you're talking about, it's funny. Like this morning, so I'm reading through the Bible, and this morning I was reading about like Jacob coming back to Esau, and like he's like sending all this, like he's like reconciling with his brother, like coming back to his homeland, and and I don't know that we've put enough emphasis or on like land and marketplace business ownership and incorporating family. Like these things are all connected in God's kingdom. Like God's constantly blessing and saying, be fruitful and multiply, be fruitful and multiply. And that's not just like have more kids, but it's if we look at a family unit or even not just like mom and dad and some kids, but like the family overall, are we fighting for that and still like realizing there is the feuds, there are these things and there, they happen. Um, I think we're really we're a part of something incredible, and I love getting to see this like fourth and fifth generation view of your family. As you think about you flipping, okay, 2019, so you were whatever this is like, you're like mid 30s, okay, yeah, so mid 30s, and you're flipping this from money being the most, or I shouldn't say money, but growing right the finances to faith being the most. What are some things that you want to do over the next 5 years? And this is kind of fun because like I'm going to ask a question and then I'm going to give you a kudos. What are you going to do the next 5 years to prepare your kids to step into that faith is already the most important pillar? Okay. And what's funny is as I'm asking you the question, I'm like, the reason you and I are connected, like, yes, we're both in Rise of Kings, but you just took your son through the 3-day Genesis program. You and your son are in the mastermind program. He's 14. And so like, there's like an incredible example right there of shifting that. So anything else, or do you want to speak to that situation?
Um, so faith,
Yes.
specifically in faith in the family. We go to a nice local church. I'll say fairly small. It's not a mega church. We're not a big town, but we've
Mhm.
got a couple hundred members, of which maybe roughly half of that is here all the time. We have a bunch of folks that live in our community that live in Florida for half the year, and they come
Mm,
because it's beautiful. Uh, our population actually increases 5x between
gnarly.
May and November. um,
Interesting.
and then everybody leaves and goes back to Florida when it gets cold. Um, but yeah, my kids go to church. They like the youth group. They're exposed to faith and religion and Jesus and the Bible, and we pray as a family.
Mm,
We over every meal, over certain situations that pop up. The Something that is now super intentional for me is to lead by example in the faith.
yeah.
While my kids are typically sleeping, when I am up and reading or listening to the Bible,
Mhm.
and journaling, like, they know that I'm doing it every day. They see my book.
Right.
They see the notes change. They'll hear me talk about things that I'm learning and trying to apply it. And so, like, that's fairly new. Like, they haven't been exposed to that since birth, right? That's been the last couple years. I hope, that they feel how important that is becoming and are seeing the results in other ways that I show up, not just in the household, but in the community and in conversations that I'm now more openly having with other members of the community as it relates to faith. Uh,
Mhm.
and I don't force it. Like, I do want my kids to understand it and to be able to make the choices. Currently, they're exploring it and I think making really good choices.
Mhm.
Um, that's not for me, I'll say, to decide. I will do my best to make a positive influence.
Hmm. Yeah, that is definitely something to wrestle through as a father, right? Is finding that balance of this is who you are, this is who I know I am, but then how do I let you decide that? It's it's something every father really needs to be praying about, thinking about, and spending time on for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd say as part of like my testimony, I mean, I was christened as a child, right? As an infant.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm. Mhm.
I know God's hand has been over me since the beginning. I know that now. Um, in our church, we had something called confirmation. And I think I was in seventh grade and I was
Mhm.
a very good reader, and it was forced, right? Like, I was forced to go through this class to learn certain things, to memorize certain things, and then to go profess in front of the church my faith.
Mm.
It wasn't a choice, like,
Yeah.
and that's what, so it was forced and not felt.
Mm.
And I'll say distinctly remember that. And I think I most distinctly remember it because I was so embarrassed because I was not a good reader. And
Mhm.
it was just, man, it was painful for me to go through it. Right. Um, and like through that, like, just as it relates to approaching, faith in the family and really with other people, it's like, man, I want to be able to share and pour out love and walk in a way that is admirable, that people want to lean into why, uh,
Mhm.
but not force it. Like, I'm not, it's like that. You have to choose. Like, um,
Yeah, thanks for giving that context. I think that that really helps, right? To understand it's like your story has led you to a place where you're not gonna do that to your kid because it didn't feel real to you, right? It felt embarrassing, it felt hard. So I think that that context behind is really powerful.
yeah. And the intentions were good. It was part of the program. It was part of how our church ran. It
Mm.
made you go through this thing and you do this, and it was very programmatic. It wasn't until maybe I think I was roughly 16 because I graduated high school when I was 17. So I think it was my junior year. I went through something called Chrysalis, which is like a walk to Emmaus.
Mm,
It's a for youth, and that's like where I really accepted God and felt God and like just like kind of knew without a shadow of a doubt like what was up. Um,
yeah.
and then I'll say strayed, not immediately thereafter, but in between a lot of years, and then really came back in full force and strong after my Rise of Kings experience. Uh,
Mm,
First time I got baptized as a man, right?
mm.
I mean, I was christened as a child. That's the first time as a man that I, professed in front of other men, my faith. And and it's been wildly strong ever since. It's been huge.
It's incredible. Well, William, this truly like this conversation couldn't, for me personally, like really couldn't come at a better time. And I won't get into all the reasons why, but I think you can hear there's like a stirring in my heart and soul for a homeland, and there's some shifts happening in our family as far as like where we live and whatnot. Um, but any last like fatherhood stories, anything that's on your mind that have like come in and out of your mind a couple times that you would like to share before I ask my final question to you?
I feel like I can tell stories for as long as you'll let me run. To your final question, and I can answer it appropriately, I will. I know you mentioned having a hard stop soon.
No, I'm good.
I'm taking my wife on a date tonight. So,
Okay.
I do need to leave it, I'll say about to be on time too.
Okay.
Uh, the, I mean, what I want to encourage people, the listeners to this podcast, to do is to lean into other men and other brothers, other fathers. Like,
Mm,
we need each other. And
mm,
I cannot tell you how often that when I actually open up and have a conversation with somebody about like what's going on, they're like, "Oh yeah, I got that going on too," or "Hey, I had that going on, and this is like how I navigated it." Like we need each other. Iron
mhm.
sharpens iron as one man sharpens another, and I think with fatherhood, nothing could be more true.
Mm. Well, my friend, dude, let's just end there with that beautiful sentiment, that statement to men to lean in, to share their stories. William, I am incredibly blessed from our conversation. We've had a couple conversations before this. This is like really getting to know you and your world. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep loving your wife. Keep loving, serving, guiding your kids, and being that light and beacon of hope out in your community. I look forward to our paths crossing again. And yeah, man, I look forward to getting to know you. But blessings to you and your businesses and your family. And what an incredible story in life that you guys are living. And yeah, just super encouraged. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for having me on, brother. I appreciate it
All right,
coming.
man. Till next time.
Yep.
Peace.
See you.
Okay. I mean, you heard it. These are things that I'm thinking about. I love the idea of homeland. I love the idea of land connecting us. And I get it. That's not going to be for all of us. But how are we thinking generationally with our family? Like, don't just put yourself in William's shoes. Put your grandkid, your great grandkid. What are you and I doing today? I mean, as I'm reflecting, the grandfather bought a piece of land he couldn't afford. He paid it off. William's dad took a leap of faith into a business where his kids were working on the weekends with him at times, where they're eating, a ham sandwich with one piece of cheese. What are you and I doing? What sacrifices are you and I making today in this life that we have for future generations? Whether the grandfather, the great grandfather, the father, like whether they were thinking about these things or not. What are you and I thinking about? Like that's why I said at the beginning, there's something brewing here. As a man of faith, God is looking for men who are going to have impact. Missions are great. Church is great. These things are great. And family is family is what God, like if you read, and we were talking about this, reading through the Bible, family is key to the kingdom. Where is patience, kindness, love? Where are all these things learned? They're learned in the home. Where's conflict? Like William was talking about, where's conflict resolution learned? It's in the home. Your home is important. It's critical. And I know something's brewing here. I love it. Okay, shoot me an email if there's something sitting with you. Like, I want to start more conversations about this. Ned@rebellandcreate.com if you want to shoot an email like, hey, this resonated. If you haven't written a review, write a review. Fatherhood matters. Send it to a friend. Hey, and you know what? By the time you hear this, Father's Day will have passed, but my adventure of fatherhood, father and daughter versions available. It's on Amazon now. Go grab a copy, grab two, one for you, one for a homie. We need to invite other men into their role as fathers. So grab a copy of the book and give it to a newer, younger father. Say like, dude, welcome to fatherhood. You have what it takes. Like, set him on the trajectory to start thinking like a father and not just like a dad who needs to, I'm kind of making these terminology up, but not just a dad who's there to like serve today, but a father who's like really rising above this whole family concept and going, okay, what am I doing? How am I serving? How am I protecting? How am I making sure that this family unit lasts for generations? Fired up, clearly fired up right now. So thank you to all you dads out there listening to Fatherhood Field Notes podcast. What you do matters. Don't be like everybody else. Be yourself. That's who your kids, spouse, and community needs. This is your guide, Ned Shout. Together, let's rebel against the view that fatherhood has little impact. Let's not just show up as like, I need a dad today. I need to pay the bills today. Let's think bigger than that. Let's engage in mastering the craft of fatherhood. And that doesn't just mean saying the right thing or disciplining the right way or having the right family dinner. There's so much more at stake. There's so much more opportunity for us to lean into serving as kingdom men with and for our families. And that's not just today. That's 100 years from now. That's 1,000 years from now. All right, my dudes, I love it. Thank you for being here. I look forward to hanging out with you next time.